Alright guys, Simon here, we're playing Mass Effect 2 and I guess we're gonna do the Reaper IFF mission again. We have done it already, but that was out of sequence. And now we're gonna do it again. I'm not sure if you guys remember this, but I remember this. And it was just a lot of husks. Husks, husks, husks. And I don't really like it. I don't really like the fact that they just run at you and then knock you back. But just for the sake of story, let's just do it again. So we can remind you guys of what we're doing here. Who should I bring? We need people who are good at close range. Grunt is definitely good at close range. Who else is good at close range? I feel like Jack with a shockwave might be good at close range. Not sure though. Let's do that. Just pull and shockwave. Hopefully they can keep the husks off me.
What's with all the chop, Joker?
Doing my best. The wind's gusting to 500 kph.
Everything's shaking. Mostly the camera is shaking,
There's a
nothing
second
else.
ship alongside the Reaper. It's not transmitting any IFF, but the radar paints its silhouette as Geth.
I guess we know why the science team stopped reporting in.
I remember in architecture school.
What just happened?
Okay, I'll tell you later.
The Reaper's Mass Effect fields are still active. We just passed inside their envelope. Eye of the hurricane, huh?
Like in architecture school, someone was trying to make a video of an earthquake, and they're like, "How do we shake everything in the room?" And I'm like, "Just shake the camera, bro." And they're like, "Oh wow, just shake the camera." Basically, just shake the camera. You don't have to shake anything else. All right, let's go do this.
Smells bad. There's blood, but something's wrong with it.
Alright. Let's grab some of this loot.
The airlock has been installed at the far end of the hold section. We have begun pressurization for shirt sleeves work. The crew is edgy. I reassure them it is mere nerves, a superstitious reaction to what this halt represents. The corpse of a vast ancient life form. Privately, I can't deny the atmosphere. The angles of the walls seem to press down on you. I find myself clenching my teeth.
Yes, indoctrination. So, actually, since we've done this before, I might talk about other things. Well, talk about the game in general. But I don't know, like, I'm really interested in stories. I don't know if you've noticed, but I like stories. And you know, in classical Greek drama, there's like two types of stories, right? There's the comedy and there's the tragedy. So comedy is pretty easy to understand. You tell some jokes, make people laugh, and that's success for a comedy. Let's just watch this.
We finished cataloging specimens A203 to B016. No evidence of active nanotechnology noted. Dr. Chundana believes they would have decayed over the last 37 million years. There's not enough data to support his claim. He asserts that the truth is patently obvious. I am concerned. Chundana has been staring at the samples for hours. He says he's listening to them.
So tragedy is more complicated. I mean, you'd think in tragedy, bad things happen, usually everyone dies. Like, how's that a... Why would anyone want to watch that? Or, you know, why would anyone want to know about that? Bad things happening. But actually, the tragedy is a more pure form of story.
Normandy to shore party.
Alright, come on.
What just happened?
The Reaper put up kinetic barriers. I don't think we can get through from our side.
Trapped in a Reaper. I want to shoot someone.
Good.
We'll have to take down the barrier generators from in here. Any idea where they are?
At the moment of activation, I detected a heat spike in what is likely the wreck's Mass Effect core. Sending the coordinates now. Be advised, this core is also maintaining the Reaper's altitude.
So when we take the barriers down to escape, the wreck falls into the planet core.
And that means everyone dies. Yeah, I got it.
If any helmsman can pull us off this thing before it reaches crush depth, it's you. We'll make a sweep for survivors and recover what data we can. Stand by.
Aye, aye. Good hunting.
So a tragedy, like bad things happen, usually it's somebody with good intention.
What a mess. Anyone else hungry?
Grant, don't eat that, you get sick. So usually someone with good intentions, but they have a tragic flaw, as it were, or they do something wrong, or they misunderstand what they're trying to do, and usually the flaw is evident to the audience, but not to the character. So they're trying to do something good usually, but they are flawed, and they end up failing, or they end up having to pay a price for what they do because they make a mistake, or they even misunderstand something, and that's a tragedy. So it's more human in a way. You're trying to do something good, or you try to do something right, and the audience can see that that they should be able to do it, or that everything should be able to work out, but they make a mistake and everything falls apart, and that's the tragedy.
You're married? You never mentioned that. Katie had anger management issues. When my brother got married, the best man tried to hit on her. She kicked him down the church steps. What? Katie's my wife. I must have told you this story. No, I know my wife. I remember that day was the only time I saw her wear stockings. Yeah, the kind with seams up the back. That's what I remember too. What the hell is this? How can we remember the same thing?
This thing was screwing with him.
Yes, Jack. So the tragedy, and I guess the point of the tragedy is to teach the audience something, or to...
New victims.
Because...
We could blow them out.
Are they still coming? So the idea is that you watch the guy...
One down.
I mean, you watch the tragedy, you watch the hero kind of fail or get punished or do things wrong, and by watching that, you're supposed to learn how to do things right, or it's an example of how things can go wrong, and I guess it helps people understand how to do things right by seeing something go wrong.
I thought Geth made these husk things.
Smart money's saying Reaper tech.
And in a way, like watching other people mess things up makes the audience feel better about their own lives, right? Because hey, that guy's having it worse than I am. So there's that too. But mostly the tragedy is instructive.
Trouble incoming.
It instructs the audience why these people were wrong. And in doing so, the audience should learn how to do things right. Right? But let me just kill these things first. Now, the reason I'm talking about this stuff is because the stories in Mass Effect are mostly tragedies. Or the main stories. I mean, there are many kind of smaller stories within the big story in Mass Effect 2, and most of those are tragedies. And obviously tragedies make for more epic stories because, this thing about good and evil, and then triumph and defeat, and things like that, and those things aren't in comedy. Comedies are just silly, right? So tragedies have these big themes that make for big epic stories, and that's what Mass Effect is. Let's just read this.
Third day with this headache. You'd think Chandana would have let me have a few hours off. God damn! What? That thing, that just gray thing, it disappeared when I looked straight at it. It came out of the damn wall, where we took off that panel. I didn't see anything. You should
Yes. So I don't want to spoil things though, so I won't talk about the main story yet. Although again, you might want to keep this in mind, the idea of the tragedy and the hero having a tragic flaw, makes a mistake, pays for it, and that being instructive for the audience. Keep that in mind. But the side stories or the secondary stories, I guess. I mean, I said earlier that I really like the story of the Krogan,
Sniper!
and I really like the story of the Quarians and
It's good. Good enough they should come out of hiding.
the Quarians and the Geth. Like, those are tragic stories. So first of all, the Krogan. I mean,
We can use this.
the Krogan are pretty cool guys, right? This guy is a pretty cool guy. But they're tragically flawed. I mean, they're very powerful in combat. And at some point they were heroes. They defeated the Rachni. But they were tragically flawed in that they loved combat a little too much. And they weren't... Like, they didn't understand how to live in peacetime. They understood how to live in wartime, and they're very good at it. They didn't understand how to live in peacetime. And so they just continued waging war even though it was completely unnecessary. And that led to their downfall, right? You see the tragedy there? The tragic story, like the heroes who were tragically flawed and then were ultimately punished for making their tragic mistake. So that's a tragedy of the Krogan, right? And the Quarians, you know, similarly, they have many talents and good things going for them, but they were a little too smart with their AI, and even though they tried to avoid it, they created an AI race, the Geth. And you think, well, okay, AI. I mean, we understand the dangers of AI, right? You can't. The thing with all biological life is that they've evolved from, you know, from less intelligent life forms into more intelligent life forms. And over the millions of years of evolution, what evolution does is, if your form is not well suited to surviving, evolution would let you die. So only the forms that are suitable for living end up surviving. Does that make sense?
Feel the blood rage!
Yeah, let me just kill these guys.
Burn and die!
That's a lot of husks.
Incoming!
Just kill these guys first.
I'll put them down!
I mean, so with evolution, like if I mean, what's a really bad thing for surviving? Actually, I mean, let's just say things that we have now. I mean, I'm short-sighted, right? I wear glasses, so I mean, in these days, we can make glasses, and that compensates for my short-sightedness. So imagine if we didn't have that technology. A short-sighted person would be at a significant disadvantage because I can't see anything without my glasses. So in a evolutionary sense, I should be at a severe disadvantage. And you know, if I were left to my own devices without the glasses, I would probably die quite easily because I can't see anything without my glasses. So that's an evolutionary disadvantage. And what evolution would do is it would allow people like me, unfortunately, to die unless I can compensate for it some other way. And so then eventually, you know, all short-sighted people would or you know, the short-sightedness, it might not disappear completely, but the ones who are short-sighted would be less likely to pass on their genes to their children, and therefore fewer short-sighted children would be born, or fewer children with short-sightedness genes would be born over time as the short-sighted people, because they're just not very good at surviving, so they don't get to pass on their genes as much. That's basically evolution.
Chandana said the ship was dead. We trusted him. real God is a verb, not some old man with magic powers. It's a force. It warps reality just by being there. It doesn't have to want to. It doesn't have to think about it. It just does. That's what Chandana didn't get. Not until it was too late. The God's mind is gone, but it still dreams. He knows now. He's tuned in on our dream. If I close my eyes, I can feel him. I can feel every one of us.
Right? So that's how evolution works. And what I'm saying about organic life forms is that we have evolved over millions of years from less intelligent life forms into more intelligent life forms. And over all those years, the kinds of minds that are good at surviving would have survived, and those that are not good at surviving would have died off. So, we have certain opinions, or we have certain kind of instincts, I guess we should say. We have certain instincts. Things like friendship and love, and even things like fear and greed. These things help us survive, right? We fear, usually we fear things that are dangerous to us. Some people are scared of snakes and spiders. Why? Because they're poisonous. And so we just instinctively, put distance between ourselves and these things that kill us. Fear of heights, that's reasonable. I mean, you don't want to fall off a cliff, right? So your fear of heights encourage you to stay away from the edge of the cliff, right? So, I mean, fear, greed, love, happiness, all these emotions kind of have evolved to help us survive.